'Twas the dark night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. But a bat was wide awake, hunting villains on the prowl, employing gadgets, battle tactics hidden under cape and cowl. So come with me, dear viewer, to rank his festive escapades, the snow-covered adventures, the winter-caped crusades. A tier list we shall construct of every movie, episode or book set around the holidays. Come with me and take a look. Batman Returns is, well, I can't imagine anyone has found themselves in this corner of the internet and doesn't know what Batman Returns is, but if you're anything like me, it may have been a minute since you'd seen it. Batman Returns is a good watch. None of the characters are particularly comic accurate, but it's an adaptation that feels alive. Nobody in this movie does anything just for the sake of moving the plot along. There's a reason for everything, and the reason is usually understandable or relatable to some degree. Oswald Cobblepot resurfaces as the Penguin after being cast out at birth for his deformities. He's recruited by Max Schreck to run a political campaign to try and take control of Gotham City, so he can build his power station and rob the city blind. Schreck's secretary, Selina Kyle, has a mental break after he tries to murder her and becomes the crazy cat lady, bloodlusted for both him and Batman. The visual effects in this movie are really neat to look back on. It sports my favourite live-action Batmobile, and the soundtrack is as iconic as it is for a reason. I love the gothic feel of the city this time of year, and the performances are just the right level of over-the-top to really sell the vibe. The movie does have a bit of a pacing issue. It seems to jump between two main plot points kind of whenever it feels like, and they seem a little forced together to try and make the movie feel a bit more whole. The movie also loses points for me just because it's way more erotic than I remembered, or it has any right to be, frankly. Like, to an uncomfortable degree. This guy is straight up a pervert, and this chick keeps licking people. There's also the whole Die Hard debate with this movie. No one seems to be able to decide if it actually counts as a Christmas movie or not. It's set at Christmas. Many references to it being Christmas time, but take out those little bits of dialogue and swap out the tree lighting ceremony with some other general public display, and you could set this anytime. The fact that it's Christmas doesn't actually have any bearing on the story whatsoever. It does fit the visuals really well, with the penguin and the snow and the Christmas decorations and stuff, but this could be in June, it wouldn't make a difference. Overall, I'm putting Batman Returns in B. Batman Returns, One Dark Christmas Eve is sort of a satirical children's storybook. It was released actually quite recently in 2022 to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the movie. The book is just a retelling of the events of the movie, but with some really nice artwork and all in rhyme. I feel like you would have had to have seen the movie to understand the book, so I can't give it too different of a score, but it has less licking in it, so it's going just above. Batman the Animated Series is classic for a reason, but how does its Christmas episodes hold up? We start with Season 1, Episode 2, Christmas with the Joker. Everybody knows this one. This episode is classic BTAS. You can say that because it's amazing, or you could say that it's because it doesn't really do anything special. The episode centers around Joker escaping Arkham Asylum and messing with Batman just because he can. There's absolutely no motive here, and the stakes are just generic hostages and city harm like they always are. By the end of the episode has rolled around, Joker is back in Arkham Asylum, Batman's gone through a stereotypical dismissing to enjoying Christmas journey, and really, nothing has changed. Not to say that this is bad. I know everybody loves this one, and me giving it a bad score is going to sentence me to prison or something. It just isn't anything special. If you were to describe BTAS in one episode, this is a great contender to display the episodic nature. Because of that, I think this is a fantastic baseline, but it's going in the middle of the road. See, honorable mentions for giving us and the actual Batman. Season 2 comes back at us with another Christmas episode though, A Bullet for Bullock. This is where we continue the debate of what actually makes a Christmas episode. It takes place between Christmas and New Year, but Christmas doesn't have any bearing on the story whatsoever. You could set this in June, and it would make no difference. But we're here now, so anyway. Bullock is in trouble. Somebody's trying to kill him. He enlists the help of Batman because he doesn't want the GCPD to find out about some of the rules he likes to bend by being too close in his business. Batman and Bullock conduct the investigation whilst dodging many more hit attempts, and we see Harvey bend some of these rules, but he comes through in the end. When they catch the guy, he doesn't try to take revenge. In fact, he goes pretty much straight to doing it by the book and arrests him. Or so he thought. Turns out the criminal they've been scouting to find out who would want to take out Bullock has nothing to do with the hits, and it was all orchestrated by his landlord, who just wanted him gone. You see Bullock have this realization moment of how badly people see him. Normal people, not just the criminals that he expects to hate him. You see it really bother him right towards the end of the episode. I like this episode a lot more than Christmas with the Joker. There's a deeper insight here into Harvey's character, and some development actually happens. Not that something being episodic is necessarily a bad thing, but it's just nice to see. They take some exposition early in the episode of Harvey being a bit crappy and turn it into something a lot bigger. There's a twist here. It's still nothing exactly groundbreaking, but I want to put this higher than Christmas with the Joker, so it's going in B. The New Batman Adventures. Holiday Nights isn't one story, which makes it difficult to rank. It's sort of 3 mini episodes, or vignettes if you're fancy. The first story sees Harley and Ivy going on a Christmas shopping spree, using Bruce as a credit card after taking control of his mind long Halloween style. Bruce breaks free, chases down the girls, gets hit in the head a few times, then drops a building-sized Christmas tree on their spines. What's not to love? Nothing really happens, but it is a fun watch. The next mini episode is a bit more interesting. Bullock and Montoya are staking out a mall as Santa and Elf, tracking an invisible shoplifter, which turns out to be a few different instances of Clayface. There's a short sequence at the beginning, showing the detectives interact with kids in costume. Bullock is his usual dismissive self until the kid plants themselves down and asks for their dad to come home for Christmas, who happens to be a criminal Bullock put away himself earlier that year. There's a really sweet moment where Bullock bonds with them a little bit and cheers them up. These shows really give me an appreciation for Bullock. They show his softer side. You really don't see that a lot these days. The last story is another Joker putting on a show at Christmas to do crime. Batman stops him. I feel like we've seen this one before. It does get points because there's a very nice end scene where Batman and Jim have a coffee and celebrate surviving another year of fighting crime. Overall, I'm putting this episode in C. It's a nice Bullock moment, but it's kind of weighed down by the other stories. It's a fun time, but it's not knocking off any bad socks. Now, if you ask a Batman fan for good adaptations of Batman, it's not going to take you very long to find the animated series, and by extension, the Arkham games. So it's lucky for us that the Arkham games have a Christmas game. Arkham Origins is my favorite Arkham game. Hold on, don't click off. It's not the best Arkham game, I can admit that, but it's the one I spent the most time with as a child, and the one I definitely have the most nostalgia for. Let's put that aside though, and try and rank it more objectively. Arkham Origins isn't the story of Batman's origin, like the title might lead you to believe, though it is set in his early years. It's the story of the Joker's origin. People didn't really like that when the game came out, because we just had 2 games with Joker as the main villain, but now that we have all the Arkham games, and they're sort of seen as a story about Batman and the Joker, the villain decision is looked on a little more favorably. Origins is the black sheep of the Arkham trilogy, proven by the fact that we call it the Arkham trilogy, and there's 4 of them. However, we're seeing a resurgence of Origins era content with Shadows and whatever the sequel to that will end up doing, so I think it's safe to say that it's at least gaining popularity. Talking about just the original game itself though, it is kind of just a worse version of City from a mechanics standpoint. The upgrade system is worse, it locks good upgrades behind bad ones, and hides some behind challenges I didn't even know about on my first playthrough. The combat is very samey, with a couple of gadgets switched out, and the map is very similar, except for this godforsaken bridge. Origins was actually built off the bones of City, not as its own original project. It was given to Warner Bros. Montreal whilst Rocksteady got started on Night, so it does make sense why a lot of the content is so similar, and there's not a lot of innovation compared to when Rocksteady puts out a new title. That being said, they did completely overhaul the art style, and I think this is where the game shines. These character models are some of my favorite ever, and it fits the theme of a younger Batman so unbelievably well. The voice cast is different, but they do an incredible job, and one thing Origins does have over City is the boss fights. For those of you who don't know, one of the main plots of the game is these 8 assassins that have been hired to take on the Batman. Each of these assassins has a unique and interesting boss fight, except for maybe Electrocutioner, but that kind of makes it unique and exciting in of itself. I would argue that these are genuinely the best in the series. Of course, I couldn't talk about Origins without mentioning Cold Cold Heart. This expansion takes from everybody's favorite BTAS episode and tells us the sad origin of Mr. Freeze. It's an incredible story. mostly because it's not super original, but a lot of people like to look at Arkham as a grittier continuation of BTAS anyway, so this fits right at home. The setting of Gotham in the snow is iconic, and this game brings it to life. You are vengeance. You are the night. You are the shadow trying to blend in with the stark white contrast of the weather. Origins sports a younger, angrier Bruce, taking his feelings out on the criminals of Gotham, and you really feel that in the gameplay. Also, the main cinematic trailer for this game almost warrants a place of its own on the list. The animation is nothing short of incredible, and even forgetting the fact that it's an advertisement, it's one of the coolest pieces of Batman media that has ever been created. Arkham Origins may not be the best Arkham game, but it definitely holds its own and deserves its spot in A tier. Can't quite justify giving it an S because you do still have to compare it to the others in its series, but giving it anything less than A would be a disservice. This game is incredible. Batman the Brave and the Bold, Invasion of the Secret Santas. You guys know I love this show, obviously, but that was me looking at the show as a whole. I want to see how its Christmas episode stacks up. This episode focuses on Red Tornado, upset about the fact that he doesn't feel Christmas spirit as one of his limited emotions, trying to find it for himself and for Batman, who seems to have lost it. Funhouse, one of Batman's many toy-themed villains, uses various hoaxes and crimes to distract people from him distributing his toys that will come alive on Christmas morning and run rampage, stealing as much as possible to bring back for him. It's a fun plot and has some funny moments.
I don't dislike Christmas. I dislike crime.
But the main point is the Christmas spirit thing. We get flashbacks of Bruce receiving a family heirloom as a gift instead of the action figure he wanted, and being ungrateful, only increasing his regret and sadness around the holidays. But Tornado being so jolly and Alfred fixing said old family heirloom gives the episode a happy ending, with them both finding the Christmas spirit. This episode sounds really nice in isolation, but if you've seen the rest of the show, you may think it sounds a bit familiar. That's because this episode is very similar to the Tornado Tyrant one, where Red Tornado creates a family to try and connect to. Both great stories, but honestly, I think I prefer that one. It has a much harder hitting story, and by comparison, this one falls a little short. I want to put this above the more generic BTAS episode, but definitely below Bullet for Bullock, so it's just about sneaking its way into B. Teen Titans Go. Now, I'm hesitant to call these Batman stories, but he is in them, and I'll be damned if I'm not going to review every Christmas Batman story I can. Plus, it's good for the thumbnail. In Season 8, we're treated to the episode Christmas Magic, where the Titans are shrunken down by Mumbo Jumbo and must climb a Christmas tree to stop him. But on their adventure, they meet Batman Ornament. I, like everyone else my age, am a big fan of the 2003 Teen Titans show, so enjoying Teen Titans Go can be a bit difficult, but I cannot let my bias get in the way of this very important journalism. The scenes with Ornament Batman are actually pretty fun. Ornament Batman just serves as a gross flanderization parody of Batman, and it got a chuckle out of me. The rest of the episode, however, is very lacking in substance. I am not this show's target audience, and you can tell. They did get a cheap laugh out of me with the pickle the first time.
I was gonna hide this festive Christmas pickle in the tree, yo!
But then they make that same haha random equals funny joke 3 more times, and I think that kind of sums up the show as a whole pretty well. The Batman scene was good, but the episode as a whole is going in D. White Elephant is hot off the press. In fact, I nearly missed this one because it debuted for the first time a month ago. The Teen Titans have lost their Christmas presents and must play a game of White Elephant gift exchange to try and get them back. And that's it. That's what happens for 11 minutes. There's no good jokes, no plot twist, no subversion of my very low expectations at all. Teen Titans Go has several more Christmas episodes, but the way that I picked which ones to look at were to look at the wiki and watch the ones that had Batman in the character list, given that this is a Batman video after all. Batman is in this episode. He's in the character list, that's why I watched and decided to talk about it, but he's in it for 2 seconds. At the very end of the episode, there is a sort of sizzle reel of various DC heroes and characters opening Christmas presents. Batman and Commissioner Gordon are one of these. They open a Christmas present, and that's it. So I watched this episode for nothing. Batman's barely even in it. Bottom of the list, under the list. Unbelievable. Now, DC have obviously published a lot of Christmas time single issues over the year, but they're mostly just one issue in an ongoing series, and if I tried to give you context for all of them, we'd be here until next Christmas. In favor of me not sitting in this chair for the next 365 days, I'm gonna skip over most of them and pick out the ones that are actually a bit more relevant. DC did publish a short Batman series that is both Christmas themed and, most importantly, self-contained. Batman and Santa Claus Silent Night is the story of Klaus and Krampus, an old Nordic warrior and a warm-hearted demon that would travel the earth giving presents to children that were good and scaring the shit out of the ones who weren't. That is, until Krampus grew weary of not being feared anymore and snapped. Klaus trapped him in a prison dimension which turned out to be the Phantom Zone? Interesting. He then continues to hunt down magical beasts, also putting them there until, of course, they escape and find their way to Gotham in modern day. Klaus, now more commonly referred to as Santa Claus, enlists the help of Batman, who happens to be one of his old students. Because of course he was. This comic is a lot of fun. Lots of other characters get involved. It's an interesting take on the whole Santa story, and Krampus is actually redeemed by the end of it. The art alone makes this worth the read, even if some of the alternate covers are a bit questionable. Great read, not very long, but it's also pretty cheap, so I'm happy putting this in A. Batman Santa Claus Silent Night returns. You peeps almost didn't get this one because it released its final part today. The things I do for you people. But wow, I'm glad I included it. The original Silent Night was the story of Klaus and Krampus and introduced us to the magical concepts used for this particular series. One of my favorite things about comics is that they don't always have the problem of sequels being a bit subpar quite as often as other mediums. We're not talking about Hush 2. Don't say it. But most of the time, sequels can take exposition from the first book and use it to tell a less clunky story because all the explaining's already out of the way. That's exactly what happens here. This isn't the story of Santa or Krampus or some other similarly festive creature. This is Justice League Dark. This is just Justice League Dark. But the villain of the book is linked to the events of the first, and the whole thing is wrapped in Christmas magic with Klaus joining the team. I've not had the chance to talk about Justice League Dark in a video before, but if you're one of the many people who have had the unpleasant interaction of an extensive DC yap session with me before, there's a decent chance you already know how much I love Justice League Dark. This book not only takes a lot of characters from those books, but it mixes them with a lot more modern general DC characters, and it tells a story I found really interesting. It's self-contained, other than needing to have read the first book, and I love all of the dynamics here. The art here is once again phenomenal, and there's no freaky alternate covers this time. I don't want to spoil too much of the story, because I really want anyone interested to go and read these for themselves, but for the sake of the video, it's about a corrupt knight from back in Merlin's day who used an ancient magic to recruit a lot of the monsters from the first book. I'll say no more. We'll go and read it. I struggle to find anything to complain about here. There's plenty of Christmas theming, the character work is awesome, the large cast is balanced brilliantly. I may be biased just because I love Justice League Dark so much, and particularly the King Arthur related stories. Ew, he's British! But I genuinely want to put this in S. Screw it, it's going in S. Merry Little Batman is a complete elseworld. It has very little connection to the comics other than loose character ideas and relationship, which on one hand means it can upset a lot of sad, loser nerd comics purists, but I think it gives the creators chance to have fun with the characters and make something new and fun. At least for a one-shot movie like this anyway. I am a little skeptical about it coming out as a full TV show soon. In this world, Bruce found out he was having a son, went absolutely beast mode on criminals and completely eradicated crime so he could focus on being a father. He becomes a bat helicopter parent, which is a very funny concept to me, and Damian grows up wanting to be a hero, idolizing the stories he hears about his dad. Bruce gets sent far away for an anomaly reading out of the country, and Damian finds himself in a Home Alone style situation in Wayne Manor, but with a Batman twist. It's really fun. The shenanigans are of course caused by the Joker making a return for Christmas. Hey, I think we've seen this one. And some other of your favorite villains pop in for a bit. While he's away, Damian bonds with a virtual assistant version of him and starts to get a better feel for the real world and responsibility with its help until the suit sustains too much damage and the virtual assistant is broken. This is a nice, light-hearted way of mirroring the way that Bruce lost his parents without the problem of actually having to write Bruce out of the plot. I think it serves really well as an emotional moment. You could really start to empathize with Damian just being a kid and going through all this. When Bruce gets back, the two bond again and make up after Bruce learns not to be quite so overbearing and Damian learns not to jump into things he's not ready for. The two of them take on the villains together and save Christmas. There's a lot more going on in this movie than I could ever possibly fit in a paragraph. The relationship between Damian and the villains, Alfred's role in the movie. I recommend you give this one a go to get the full picture. This movie isn't to be taken seriously, but I kind of love that about it. There's a lot of jokes and nods to other DC media. It's a lot of fun. The art's very stylized but equally charming. All the wavy lines, weird proportions, and a more analog style of technology on show gives the movie a very unique feel that I love a lot, and it's only complemented by the more whimsical choices in soundtrack and dialogue. I particularly like the design choice for the fear state section. I think it's really cool. I know doing this right after my Brave and the Bold video is going to make people think I'm just a whimsical Batman lover, which I am, but I promise that's not it. I'm not just diehard on that. I do love most iterations of Batman. They just keep coming up. There's so much to love about this movie, and even if it's not comic accurate, I think it rightfully claims its place in A tier. What's interesting to me is how middle of the road most of this list is. One thing broke into S tier, and it's a comic that released today. But equally, nothing really slips too far down other than the TTG episodes that you can barely even count as part of this list. Batman as a whole works really well with a Christmas aesthetic. There's a great juxtaposition at play there, but from what I've seen, not a lot is blowing my mind. I feel like a Batman Christmas story has so much potential, and the pinnacle of it is yet to come. It's not like they're going to stop making these anytime soon. But thank you very much for joining me on this adventure. Please let me know how you would rank some of these down below and where I went wrong. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a dark night. Except for the two of you currently writing in the comments that I didn't do Long Halloween. It doesn't count. Bye. Why am I... This isn't even a book. This is a VHS.